Hey everybody, we found ourselves up against Don Quixote, a former NDP member, now in G, and another goon, on Sand River. Not a map I really like, but it's manageable. Solo pubbing in my 430. Let's see how this plays out. I've got North Spawn. I don't really have a spawn preference on this map. Either one is viable, I guess, although the map in general is kind of shitty and generally plays out the same each time. Neither spawn has a very large noticeable advantage over the others, like say on Mountain Pass, or in certain tanks like on Prokhorovka, where I'd rather be on the North Spawn in my scent. Head north. Sorry for the bleep looping, I was talking to somebody before I started recording this and forgot to mute Steam, as always. First thing I spot's a Lorraine. He doesn't have shots on me, in fact he doesn't even see me. Now, remember how much I say I love this thing's camo, that is why. Instead of crossing all the way up, I decide to hold here for a moment, partly because I'm still shit-talking with Donkey. Trying to see if anything's crossing up to get to the mountain, because I do have the view range to spot them, and the camo to avoid being spotted in return. But it doesn't look like they're crossing yet, or they've already made it up, which is a distinct possibility given their closer spawn. The Lorraine is on the wrong side of the dune, but it looks like he might be about to crest. I wanted to wait around and see, but instead he runs away and targets a lit in the north. This T-54 is charged in there, he's got no support. The Scent and Type 59 are on the wrong side of a mountain, both Scents actually. And the STB goes for me instead, since I'm crossing the open to go support the T-54. So right away I've thrown a pretty significant amount of hit points out the window. Not the best play I've ever made. On the other hand, I didn't want to leave a T-54 out in the open. It would have been just shitty to do it, and it also would have likely precipitated a collapse on this flank, because the other three mediums are sitting around behind mountains doing absolutely nothing. So I do get my shot in on the Lorraine there, which I was hoping for. I thought he might back all the way out, but he doesn't, he stops, and so I work my way up the hill. Now surprisingly, the T-54 hasn't actually been pushed yet. He's actually got the AMX and the STB cowering in a little gully. No doubt they spotted the 75 also coming to help. While they're here, they have no ability to flex out, no ability to move. The initiative lies with us. We can just pick their hit points away as we wish, at our own pace, and the enemy Artie is very unlikely to get a shot in. He would have to be in a really stupid spot to arc shell over this, especially since he doesn't have, or neither of them have, the best shot arc. The Lorraine shoots flat, and the GWE sort of has a medium arc, as far as I'm aware. So we clean up those two, which is a good thing to do. The AMX was quite a decent player, and the STB was no slouch either. And slowly I begin edging out, looking for spots on their base. Again, I have excellent view range, but with that said, there's only so far I can see, and this is about the limit of my spotting range. I can only just see their base ramp, but it's enough to light the E75, who is in the spot normally reserved for camping TDs. Not really a good E75 player, it would seem. That's one of the tanks you really don't ever want to be camping base with. The Lorraine's also up. He's now defending from the TD ridge. Not a bad idea, actually, given how badly he's been knocked out of how badly his hit points have been knocked down. Sorry, words difficult. Instead of crossing the ramp in the open, I decide to duck down into this gully here. Although they do still see me, it gives me a little bit of screening on my side. They have to push right up and hang over the edge to get decent shots into me. It also gives me a good position to get set up, while our T-69 calls Donkey rude words. This Twag guy always suicides his tank and then blames his team or his tank. It's really quite sad. Anyway, the E75 decides not to fuck with me at all while I happily kill their arty. And then when he does push over, he doesn't aim his shot, he just fires while still moving and bounces off my tank. Look at my positioning. I'm on a reverse slope. I'm hull down, more or less. Even though the E75 can hit my hull and the bottom end of my turret, he just is at such a bad angle relative to my armor, it's very unlikely he'll pen me. This is one of the many reasons I love the Object 430. It can just bounce things it really has no business to, as long as you're using the terrain well. Donkey begins pulling out. It looks like he's going to go for me since he knows I'm going to quite happily work this bad E75 over. Donkey is a lot better at this game than I am. I don't want to sit around and play with him while he's in a heavy tank with more hit points than I have and a much bigger gun. I sit here for a moment, hoping to just discourage them from popping over the edge while maybe our arty lands a shot, but in fact our arty is not going to land a shot. It's now that I look at the map, because previously I'd been too engaged in actually fighting. This is another thing where I'm kind of still working on it. I need to be able to keep an eye on the map and on the fight at the same time, not one or the other, because by this stage in the game I look at the map and realise we've lost. Our team's gone in south, there's nothing there, and I get a really shitty bounce off that Lorraine. And our T95 is making absolutely no effort to go back and reset the cap. In fact, he's driving as far away from the cap as he possibly can, as fast as he can. Donkey comes in to try and finish me off, but I'm not having any of it. The 113's armor is pretty decent, but it's not decent enough to hold up against an Object 430 at point blank range. The Lorraine rolls out in front of me and stops. I think he was about to start clipping, but I was faster on the trigger and finish him off. Now I could stay and kill the E75. In fact, I really should have, considering the T95's unwillingness to reset and at least try and win us the match. I could have got myself maybe another 800 1k damage, and it wouldn't have won us the game, but it would have got me a bit better compensation out of it. Instead, being the idiot I am, I charge back to base as quickly as I possibly can into basically the entire enemy team, trying to look for just a last second blind reset like I've once done in my T62 on this map. It's not forthcoming, and we lose because our T95 did not want to play the game. He wanted to hide in the back. I can't remember how much damage he did off the top of my head, or how many times he fired his gun. You'll be able to see it in the post games anyway, but his contribution to this game was practically nil. So it was a loss. It was a disappointing one because I did, I think, my own share and then some, but I got to take out Donkey, so I'm, happy about that, even though somebody else had already had a go at him before I did. And I think it also shows a bit more play where I'm using the terrain to screen myself. Usually on this map there's very little need to, because your team just slaps them down before you even get to their base. But in this case, because I was fighting so much around the enemy base and there were still quite a few tanks there up, I was trying to use those gullies to screen myself, and a lot of people don't think about that. They see a gully and they think it's a physics trap, or they think it's not somewhere they should really go. Alternatively, you do have people who think it's a good idea to push through them, which is of course wrong. But the thing that they're really useful for, as you saw me do in this game, and as you may have seen me do in some of my older Arctic region videos before they changed the map, you can actually quite often find a gully and you use it to pop up somewhere the enemy don't expect you without being spotted, or at least without them being able to hit you. So you might have enemies up on this TD ridge here. You can just slip into that gully there and pop up here, or you can even, assuming they don't proxy you, say that where the E75 is around their cap area, you can actually dive in here and then pop up on this side, or even dive down again and pop up down here somewhere on their south. It really gives you a lot more flexibility when you use the terrain to its full extent, instead of just using the actual obvious paths. It's a big advantage, but not many players really seem to take advantage of it. Most of the time, if they go down there, it's because they're either playing arty or because they want to hide at the end of the game and save themselves a repair bill. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, it's not really something I can show easily because most games there's very little need to actually do it, but it is something I do like to show when I get the chance. Obviously there are times when it's appropriate and times when it's not, but be on the lookout for those times, and just remember that being able to actually utilize the terrain to its full potential is a rare skill set. It's an important skill set, and whenever you get the chance to actually practice it, exercise that skill, you should do it. It's an enormous advantage. A lot of puppies don't have the situational awareness to even realize what's going on, and you know, if you can get that down, you can vastly increase your chances of carrying a game. In this case, unfortunately, I just wasn't paying enough attention to the map, and RT95 was complete chicken shit. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you at some point in the future. Of course, there will be plenty more World of Tanks videos. I have at numerous points said, oh, I'll slow down on them, but I never seem able to actually do it. And so, I will hopefully catch you then. See you later.